right, and welcome to another episode of Gold Rush here on the JTR Podcast Network. This is Mark Ribbon coming to you from the Noodles position in Champaign, Illinois, joined as always by my buddy Hoot Supreme, Big U Bangy, Jabari Sinclair. Uh, Bari, this kind of follows in sequence with the last one that I picked for this because the last one that I picked, we did the Dome Globe NWA, the one over my shoulder here. So the one we're doing today, it's basically the very next one in the TNA lineage for the World Heavyweight Championship. We're going to the TNA World Title, and I got to say, I think as much as I like the Wildcat from 2011, I think this is my favorite version of the TNA World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah. I will have to agree with you on that one.
Yes, but before we get into that, though, whenever there's a new belt that gets announced or introduced on television, we have to mention it. You know, it's our way. AEW, they're unifying the Continental and International Championships at All In with Omega and Okada. By the way, Omega a little over the top with the blood last night.
A little bit, but he's
Hey, I like that they're
cinematic,
selling
so-
the guts. They're selling the injury.
exactly. So yeah, that's going to be a major storyline leading up to this match.
Yeah. Well, during the segment, which was the contract signing, they unveiled the brand new unified championship. They said it's going to be on the same level as the world title, which makes me wonder why not make it a three-way. Put Mox in there too. Just unify all three of them.
Mm-hmm.
But
Might as well.
when I first saw a small image of it, I wasn't sold. But looking at it in a slightly bigger image, I gotta say I don't hate it.
Yeah, no, I don't hate it either. And they might as well just call this the AEW Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah, is it just that they wanted to do everything they could not to use the word intercontinental?
Exactly. That's all that is. Because
universal.
Yeah, right. But no, I don't hate the belt either, and that's one thing I can give to AEW. All of their championships, except for that Continental title, they all have a really unique look to them. So I can give them that. Yeah.
The Continental title kind of had a Party City Halloween costume belt vibe to it.
Exactly. It's just it's too much gold and not enough anything else.
Right. Too much fluff, not enough stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like the original when they first brought out the TNT belt, and it was the prototype because they didn't have the finished version of it, and it looked just awful.
Right. Yeah, it looked god awful.
I was like, come on, just push it back a month if you don't have it ready to go yet.
Exactly.
But I digress. We're not here to talk about AEW, Bari. We're here talking about TNA. And the World Heavyweight Championship, this is the one that they introduced after they severed the ties with the NWA in May of 2007. And let's see, it debuted in May. So the deactivation of it, you can go two ways here, because you could say it got discontinued on November 8th, 2010, when Jeff Hardy unveiled that god-awful or you can just push it back to May of 2011 after Victory Road when they unveiled the Wildcat. I would prefer to do the latter.
Yeah, same here because
I get that it's Jeff's gimmick and his design and all that, but it just looks awful.
Yes, it does.
This belt, designed by Dave Milliken. I think this is maybe our first Milliken belt that we've talked about. No, TNT. The TNT Championship. But let's do a look at the belt here.
It's a sharp belt.
It is really sharp. This is one that I wouldn't mind having in my collection, getting a replica of this one. One thing that I really like about it is how it's got the silver underneath with the gold on top.
Yeah.
It just makes it pop more.
Exactly.
Then, you got the Eagles wings, the side plates. They're all the same. They have the globe and the TNA logo on the top and the bottom on all four side plates. And it's just maybe it's me, but it almost seems like it, and I'm not saying this metaphorically. I think it started losing its shine toward the end of the run with it.
Yeah.
It gotten some use and they weren't doing the best job of polishing.
No, not at all. Not at all. I think Kurt was on his perk kick then, so he probably didn't have time to shine the belt.
That's very true. Very true. Uh, here's another look at the belt. Not quite as clear, but you get a look at all four side plates on this one.
Yeah, that is a sharp looking championship. Now, my question is, were the globes like a 3D ish, like kind of stuck out a little bit?
Yeah, it looks like it from looking at this picture. It looks like they're kind of 3D looking, where they're protruding a little bit, which I think is the way to go with that.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. A few little facts about this one. First champion was Kurt Angle. I guess officially it was when he won the King of the Mountain match at Slammiversary, when they actually had the belt there. The last champion was Jeff Hardy. Again,
Ugh.
I'm sorry. So I know if I want to mess with it, I can just throw that up at any given moment and just.
God, and it gives me the sour belches.
Well, I'll try not to do that to you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. It's hard to realize, like, you thought that this belt was around longer than it was. It was only around for about 3 years.
Yeah, I thought so too. Whenever I started, doing a little bit of digging, I didn't do a whole lot of digging on it, but the little bit of digging that I did do, I was like, wow, there's only been it wasn't even 10 champions.
No, I counted 7 names that held this belt. And for the record, I added the Immortal Belt lineage to the timeline when I was doing my research.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for basically it's 7. I mean, Ken Anderson had the Immortal Belt, but he never actually held the Redeemer, as you call it.
Exactly.
I like that, the Redeemer. I think we'll stick with it.
All right.
Let's see. Most reigns, it was a tie. Kurt Angle and Sting both had 3.
Mm-hmm.
The longest reign was AJ Styles, 211 days in 2009 into 2010. And the shortest reign was Sting with 2 days, which I think was that Bound for Glory into Impact stretch when Angle got it back in 2007.
That sounds right.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the history. Like I said, we only have about 7 names, but we'll get into all of it. Find my list here. Mr. World Champ. There we go. So originally there was a 3-way match the night that they officially stopped recognizing the NWA Championship, where it was Christian, Sting, and Angle in a 3-way, and Angle won the match. So there was one night where he held the Dome Globe belt, but they had already said they were going to be sticking with it.
Right.
The next day after that pay-per-view, when Angle won the 3-way, he was stripped of the championship. That's how they got it off of him. They said it was a result of a double fall in the 3-way match. So belt was held up. NWA goes right off in the sunset. And then Slammiversary, they had their King of the Mountain match. It was AJ Styles, Chris Harris, Christian Cage, Samoa Joe, and Kurt Angle. And
a who's who of TNA at the time.
It really is. Going back from day one, I mean, AJ and Harris, I think, were in the original King of the Mountain match in 2002. And then Christian and Joe. But it was Kurt Angle.
God, boy, look at there.
Yeah. Looking like Nick Gage kind of in that picture, Bari.
Yeah. God. Somebody needs a hot black coffee and a cold shower. Jesus Christ.
Oh my God. Kind of had the cold black eyes of a shark back then, didn't he?
Exactly. There's nothing behind those eyes, brother. Nothing.
No. Not that I'd say that to his face.
No. I never would. Never would. But
no,
we're safe here in podcast land.
We are safe in podcast land. Okay, this is around the time that they did the bit where he and Joe challenged Team 3D on pay-per-view, Bari, at victory road. It was Angle put his world title up, Joe put the X Division title up, and 3D put the tag titles up.
Mm-hmm.
And Angle and Joe won. But of course, the age old question, Ari, can they coexist?
Exactly.
That you always ask, and they couldn't. So they wound up having the big winner take all match where it was all those belts plus Angle's IWGP belt were all up in one match. And Angle won, so he got him. No surrender. He dropped everything. Well, IWGP, I think he'd already lost, but he dropped the tag and the X Division titles at no surrender. So then, Bound for Glory, he put the belt up against Sting, who, if you remember, he was the guy that Angle chose to be his tag team partner when he was the tag champs, and they lost to Team Pac-Man.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, that's right. Now, was this okay? So I know they had several world title matches. Was this the title match where Angle went to go hit Sting with the bat, and Sting was supposed to have blocked it with his hands, and he didn't, and he clocked his ass in the head for real?
I want to say yes. I'd have to go back and watch again. Not for nothing. This may be my favorite Bound for Glory, 2007.
Yeah. It was a stacked
It
card.
was stacked. But yeah, so Stinger wins the belt. This is back when Kevin Nash was doing Dr. Nash. He was being Angle's therapist, which kind of like Raven's therapist was a guy named Jim, who's actually going to be on Jumping the Rail on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So yeah, Duluth, Georgia, Sting won the title on October 14th, 07. October 16th on the Impact taping, Angle won the belt back. That episode would air a week after that. And again, that's when when Nash turned babyface and they started their thing a little bit. This was Angle's longest run with the belt from, by my math, at 180 days. And then he would lose the belt at Lockdown. Ooh, excuse me. Like my Snickers went down too fast.
Oh no.
But maybe, and this is going to be on my list later, but he lost the belt in Six Sides of Steel to Samoa Joe. And we'll get more into that match when we talk about it.
That version of Samoa Joe I did not like at all.
Okay, go deeper.
Well, I mean, I can't deny that he's always been talented in the ring, but just his look, he looks like a big fat baby with anal beads around his neck. Yeah, I said it.
You did say it.
And I just didn't care for him. And then after this, he did the damn Nation of Violence thing.
Yeah, that's the one I didn't care for.
Yeah, and he had the schlong drawn on his face in tribal print. Yeah, so
they gave him Taz as a manager, which I didn't hate that.
No,
I liked
not
him
at all.
Taz.
And had it been booked right, that could have been incredible.
Just curious, what did you think of his turn in the Beatdown Clan?
Next question.
Next question. All right. That's fine. We'll move on. All right. Joe holds the title for 182 days after lockdown until Bound for Glory 4 in 2008. And Sting really had a knack for winning the world title at Bound for Glory. He did like 3 years in a row.
Yeah. They tried to make Bound for Glory Sting's thing.
Mm-hmm.
Sting's thing. Look at me.
And this is when Sting was essentially a heel. This is right around the time the Main Event Mafia thing started, because Nash helped Sting win.
Yep.
And Sting would hold it for 189 days until the next lockdown. And this may be the most unlikely guy to hold the belt. Mick Foley.
Yeah.
He won it in the cage.
When Mick won, I was shocked. Not saying that he's not deserving of being a world champion, but at this stage of his career,
he was not active.
Yeah, he wasn't active. He was retired
for
several years before he came to TNA. So yeah, this was definitely a shocker.
Is it possible this was just, hey, I want to work Sting one more time, because they had that really good feud in '92.
God, so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But yeah, Foley was an authority figure at this point.
Yes, he was.
Like he was like, he wasn't co-owner, I don't think, but maybe part of like the executive committee or something. They
Yeah,
were big on their executive committee in TNA.
exactly.
But he won the belt in Philly too, inside the cage. So ECW country. Uh, didn't hold it long. I didn't think he would. But Slammiversary in Auburn Hills, Michigan, home of the Pistons. Boo. Uh, King of the Mountain match. Foley would lose the belt. This also had AJ, Jeff Jarrett, and Joe in it, but the belt went back onto Angle.
Yes.
So, and he would hold it for 91 days until September. And in No Surrender, there was a 5-way match with Hernandez, who God, we don't talk about a whole lot.
No, we don't talk about Supermax a whole lot.
Freaky strong guy.
God, a freak of nature.
He was like one giant muscle.
Yeah.
But it was a 5-way match. It was Angle, Hernandez, Matt Morgan, Sting, and the eventual winner, AJ Styles. And during this reign, AJ broke Sting's streak because he beat him at Bound for Glory.
Mm-hmm.
So Sting didn't win the belt at Bound for Glory this time. Around this period is when AJ turned heel, Bari, and he started running with Flair. You remember this?
Yeah, okay, yeah, and he had that lousy robe on.
I was going to ask about the robe. Do you remember the robe?
Yeah,
it
lousy.
Like the cheapest looking feathery amalgamation.
Right, here we go again with another Party City reference. They found the Ric Flair Party City costume and just took away the blonde wig and just gave him the cheap robe.
Right. And put a hood on it.
Yeah. Never forget.
AJ has to have a hood.
Yeah.
But I didn't get it. Why be so blatantly trying to be Flair when AJ was already everything AJ did was scored up until this point.
Exactly.
This is where AJ had his 211-day reign. And I distinctly remember in April of 2010, it was right after I'd moved into my house in Tilton and I got my satellite on and I put Impact on, and they had the match. It was AJ against Van Dam on Impact for the championship, and Van Dam wound up winning.
Mm-hmm.
Really good match, short match. It was only about 12 minutes long. I just watched it back again today.
Yeah,
but they got all their shit in. It looked good. I forget the whole episode because when I watched it today, I didn't realize Van Dam came to the ring bleeding.
Oh wow!
He had he got gigged on his forehead there, and I cannot remember why. But yeah, so Van Dam won the world title there. The crowd rejoiced, of course. He was still mega over back in 2010, and he would hold the belt for 113 days until he was vacated because of injury, finger quotes. That's when Abyss basically tried to murder him with Janice in the back, and he was all bloodied up and everything.
I remember.
To get him off TV. This is around the time that they were coming. Remember they?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying they is a political statement. That literally, that was the package. They are coming on 10-10-10.
That whole thing.
Which was Bound for Glory. And it was... the belt was decided in a 3-way dance. It was the finals of the Bound for Glory tournament. And I've actually got the tournament in front of me here. Well, give me a second. Where'd he go? There we go. All right. So here are the first off the 8 quarterfinalists, Bari. So you had Jeff Hardy over Rob Terry. Remember Big Rob?
Mm-hmm.
Kurt Angle over Doug Williams, which I need to go back and find that match because I'll bet it was awesome. If you like pure like grappling, I mean, that's going to be damn good.
I was a definite Doug Williams fan. Definitely. Yes.
So you were a fan of the British Invasion?
Yes.
What about London Brawling of Brutus Magnus and Desmond Wolfe?
Yeah.
And the British tomato that Taz would allude to, Chelsea. All right. Jay Lethal lost to Mr. Anderson in the first round. And then the Pope Remember the Pope Bari?
God, who right? How can you forget about Pope, baby? And he talked about himself in third person.
He was doing the best damn Dusty Rhodes impression on television.
Yes, he was, Daddy. He was doing the best one there was possible.
But Pope beat Matt Morgan, which
that's kind of an upset.
I was going to say it sounds like
because TNA was big on their blueprint.
Oh, they liked that blueprint.
Yes, they did.
Semifinals was it No Surrender on pay-per-view. Anderson beat the Pope, and then Hardy and Angle went to a no contest. It was a draw, 30-minute draw. So at Bound for Glory, they made the three-way: Hardy, Angle, and Anderson, and then Hardy won with the big assist from the debuting Immortal.
Yeah,
Hogan, Bischoff, you say Jarrett and Abyss there. I think Flair was involved.
Screw job of the week.
It was the Orlando screw job.
Yeah,
I think it was Orlando. Hang on, I can tell you.
It sounds about right.
Jeff Hardy. Daytona Beach. I'm sorry. Per the pre-match stipulation, Angle in storyline was forced to retire. So it was during this run that, again, I apologize. That's when we got this belt. Yeah, sorry. He would lose the world title to Ken Anderson in January at the Genesis pay-per-view. But again, Anderson never held the belt we're talking about. He just held that ridiculous purple belt.
Exactly.
Dropped it back to Hardy a month later Against All Odds. And that bothered me. Why did Anderson keep holding that belt?
Right. Well, maybe he thought it looked cool too. And well, that says a lot for him.
I'm going to guess maybe Dixie said, hey, keep holding this belt because it's going to go back on Hardy.
Yeah.
Hardy would win the championship back at Against All Odds in a ladder match. Then we got the infamous Victory Road where Jeff was in no condition to compete, so they just put the belt on Sting in a squash.
And I was actually at a buddy's house watching that live. Yeah. And I was like, is this real? I was like, is this real or are they working us?
Is it like Road Warrior Hawk in 98?
Exactly. And then whenever Bischoff came out, I said, oh no, this is.
But he basically I watched it back later on, and he went to Sting and said, "Stinger splash, pin him."
Yeah,
that's what they did.
Yeah,
and then Jeff Hardy went away, and the next Impact is when they debuted the Wildcat. I remember Sting came out, opened the show, and then Hogan and Bischoff, who were still heels, by the way. They were still doing the Immortal stuff. They came out, and Hogan took the purple monstrosity from Sting and just dropped it on the floor outside of the ring. Just basically just buried Jeff with that one motion.
Exactly.
And then Stinger went on with the Wildcat belt, which we are going to do an episode on one of these days. Because I do really like that belt.
Yeah. But that's going to be right. That Wildcat's going to be your Bobby Lashley, your Drew Galloways, and what have you.
Yeah, Matt Hardy.
Yeah, Matt Hardy. Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, though, that does mean we're going to get another look at Jeff's purple belt because he did. Again, he carried both of them when he had that championship.
Yeah, he did.
I think why? Just let it go. Take it home, put it in an ugly trophy case in your house.
Exactly. Right. Put it on the wall with some of that crazy ass painting you do.
Did we do an episode on let me see. I think we did one on all the made up belts and everything. Yeah, we did.
Championship.
And that belt did come up.
Yeah.
But it is not spoken of as fondly as like your $1 million belt or your Smoking Skull.
Exactly. Some of the iconic championships.
Right.
Custom championships.
I feel about that just about the way I feel about the Spinner US title that Cena had.
Ugh. Reb, stop it.
I'm sorry. I'll stop.
I've only got one stomach.
It's true. My apologies. See, this is more fun when I mess with Minders this way. With you, I feel legitimately guilty when I do it.
Don't feel guilty. I'm just giving you shit.
All right. So that's the whole list of people that held this belt. And again, there was a lot of changes, but it was mostly like when you account the fact that Sting and Angle both held it 3 times, that takes up a lot of the space.
Exactly. And then I feel like they had so many changes because this was also their Spike TV era, and so they were, reaching for ratings.
How did you feel when they went to Monday nights?
I knew it was a disaster.
It was such a bad idea.
By that what was it? January 4th.
January 4th.
2010.
Yep.
That fucking show. Maybe
they
sometimes we gotta
brought out all the big guns on that show too. They brought out the Extreme Asylum, whatever they called it, the big Thunderdome looking thing. Jeff Hardy came back.
Yeah, and you had Val Venus playing strip poker with the knockouts, and you had the Nasty Boys, and you had Bubba the Love Sponge. You had them all.
All of Hogan's friends.
Yeah, all of his friends.
I think that's the night Van Dam debuted and beat Sting, if I remember right.
Yeah, I think so too.
But yeah, I mean, the shows weren't even necessarily bad. It's just nobody was watching because they were watching Raw.
Exactly.
Now, I had a DVR, so I watched both, but still, it didn't take long for them to realize, hey, we should go back to Thursdays.
Yeah.
But
you should have stayed on Thursdays.
Yeah, they never should have. I still remember when TNA was on Saturdays on Spike when they first went to Spike TV.
Yeah, there was. I think it was just an hour long then.
It was an hour long at 10 p.m.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I'll do you one better. I remember when they were on Fox Sports.
So do I.
Right, on what was it, on That Man Show?
The best damn sports show, period.
Yeah, that show. Yeah.
I remember.
Yes.
Because fucking Chris Rose came out on TV and tried to The Rock everybody and say, oh, it's all fake. And Piper came out and cut a promo on him.
Yep.
I love Piper.
Me too.
Yeah. And I think Chris Rose actually came out wearing Bobby Roode's robe that he would wear later on. The Terry Taylor robe.
Uh-huh.
Memories.
Good times.
So let's talk notable feuds here, Bari. And I cheated a little bit. I have let me find my infographic. There we go. But I've got Hardy and Anderson on here just because I needed 5.
Mm-hmm.
But the 4 main ones I've got Angle and Sting is the main one that kind of stretched out not only when in 07, but then through the Main Event Mafia when they split up, they did the empty arena match and all that business. Angle and Joe, which also might be my favorite non-AJ versus Daniels feud in TNA history. Sting and Foley, just for the throwback, nostalgia.
The nostalgia feel.
And then the AJ Van Dam series in 2010, I thought was good.
Okay.
Because they had a few matches.
Okay. I have all of those. Maybe not that particular order, but yeah, the same ones.
I might throw Angle and Christian in there also.
Okay. Because
you throw in the fact that Christian's coalition turned on him and joined the Angle Alliance.
Right.
They really didn't think too hard on names for factions, did they?
No, they did not.
All right. Well, let's move on here. Favorite matches. And I've got 5. I mentioned the AJ and Van Dam from Impact, which I went back and watched today. I got Angle and Joe from Lockdown, which I mentioned earlier, but that was, I think, the best instance of them promoting a big fight.
Yeah. And they had a big fight feel.
It did.
Yeah.
Angle came out dressed as a UFC. He had the shorts and the taped feet and all that stuff. It wasn't your usual Olympic Angle. It was MMA. It was Angle, if you will.
Yeah.
Was it Frank Trigg on commentary on that match because he had trained with Angle, the UFC guy? But yeah, it felt like a UFC fight.
It did.
Between those two. I threw the Angle Joe winner take all match on there from I forget what pay-per-view it was on. It was the one where they put all the belts up. With the exception of Kevin Federline showing up, it was pretty good.
God. Don't
Wait,
fuck
not
around.
Kevin Federline. Trademark. Cena's cousin.
Yeah.
I hope that's the last time I ever mentioned Kevin Federline on this fucking show.
Well.
But yeah, a lot of fuckery at the end of that match.
A lot of fuckery.
But even with that, you never see those guys have a bad match.
No, you don't. You really didn't.
Yeah. A bonus mention to Angle and Joe against Team 3D, the winner, the all titles match. AJ versus Joe versus Daniels, the second time they did the 3-way. when AJ was the world champion. And then, then anytime AJ and Angle went 1-on-1 is a
Yeah,
winner.
yeah, it was. It really was. They just complimented each other so well.
Hmm.
Definitely,
Yeah. Did I miss any?
you did not miss any at all. At all. I personally really enjoyed the Sting Foley uh rivalry or angle or program or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I did because for the nostalgia. I
Yes.
remember them doing their thing in '92 in WCW, and so yeah, wasn't quite as good
No,
as
there was no Beach Blast.
'92. Yeah, oh hell no, not at all, not at all. So
Plus,
they
he
still
didn't
did their
have
thing.
but it would have been, I would have popped if they would have brought Abby out with a fork to
Yeah,
help Foley.
exactly. And then nobody was really thinking that Foley was going to win, and he won. So
No, nobody expected that at all. But now Foley can say he's been a world champion in 2 companies.
mm-hmm.
All right. Our top 5 guys to hold this belt. Again, there's only 7 names that held the belt, so putting it down to 5 is not hard. As you know what, since there's 7, I actually have 4, but I got Angle number 1. Angle's the guy I most associate with this belt.
Yeah.
Then Sting, of course, they both had the 3 times. Then I got Joe and I got AJ.
Okay. And I'll add RVD to that list.
Okay.
Why not? It's
Yeah.
RVD.
He had it for a few months, and
Yeah.
nobody beat him for it.
Exactly.
So, all right. Well, yeah, that's it. I'm glad we got to talk about this one because I always thought TNA had a very strong belt game. Especially this 07 when they first broke away from the NWA. That new X Division belt they had, the tag titles.
Mm-hmm.
Then when they had the TV title, the Legends Championship that Booker T had.
Yeah.
It's just
Which was a sweet championship, might I
it
add.
was really nice.
Yeah.
I mean, it may have been the actual nicest belt they had for a while.
Yeah.
And in hindsight, it really gave me AEW Heavyweight Championship vibes when AEW unveiled their world title.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that reminds me a lot of the Legends Championship. But I think, and we're going to talk about that one too, because you got to talk about the Legends Championship, the Global Championship, and the Television Championship when you're talking about that one.
Exactly.
And the King of the Mountain Championship.
Yeah. Oh boy.
They got a lot of miles out of that belt.
They really did. That poor damn championship. Wherever it may lie today.
I don't know who would have that now. I think Lashley was the last guy to have it.
Yeah. But hell, maybe Conrad bought it.
Maybe Booker bought it back.
Yeah.
Maybe, I wonder, I don't think Booker had it made, but he was the first guy to hold it, and he unveiled it.
Exactly.
But anyway, Bari, I believe it is your turn to choose what we do next.
It's my turn to choose. And we're gonna do something a little
Now, you said you had an idea already last time we talked.
Yeah.
So,
and I think we're going to do the WWF Women's Championship.
Are we talking the Sable belt?
We're talking from Moolah to whoever the hell held it last. That's what we're talking. The Ladies Championship.
The Ladies Championship, like the Wendy Richter belt.
Yes.
Oh, this is going to be a challenge.
Yeah. I think it'll be fun.
I think we're going to get Rockin' Robin in there.
Yeah. And Sensational Sherry.
I'm just now I got to look. I want to see who was the last one to have that belt because they debuted the one we all remember in like '98.
Yeah. But then you remember in between the one they debuted in '98 and the one that Moolah held, that blue one, there was the one that Alundra Blaze held, that pink one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we got a little meat there.
Okay, so just as a quick, so this would basically start with like from the when it was officially recognized as a WWF title, that would be 84.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll probably start in 84 up through 88 when it was deactivated, because
Okay.
that was the blue one.
Right.
And then Under Blaze brought the pink one out in 93, and that's the one that was a thing until she dropped it in the trash on Nitro. All right, so we have a 4-year period that we can get into. 2, 3, 4, 6 names. So
Okay.
it won't be a long episode.
No,
But
no.
there's a lot of mustard on the ball on this one, because we're going to talk about
Exactly.
the MSG screw job in this
Yeah,
case.
yeah. And then of course, I'm going to take a deep dive off into Moolah. So
Oh yeah, yeah. Talk about Lagani Kai. Maybe
yeah,
squeeze in some Glamour Girls talk in there for you.
of course.
The sadly, Judy Martin did not hold the belt.
She did
But
not. She did not.
Lagani did though.
Yes,
3 Glamour Girls, Lagani Kai held it.
Yes.
But yeah, I think we can have some fun with this one. I'm glad you said this, because I thought you were going to say the one like that Michelle McCool and Layla split in half.
There goes those sour betches again.
I'm sorry, I got to stop that. All right. Well, anyway, this Tuesday, Bari, it's not your usual Jumping the Rail podcast. We're doing our first Bash the Rail special with Dickie and Mad Rocks from Mad Bash Wrestling.
All right.
And we're interviewing the Sandman. We're very excited about that.
Yeah. I look forward to that as well.
Yes. And then Wednesday, we will do the Shootout as usual, talking about stuff that we had this weekend and I think next weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And then Extreme Myth and Review, we're doing we're recording our next episode, which is going to be the Hardcore Heaven watch along, but we got one before that. And then Minders is worried, Bari, because on the Shootout the week after next, I'm not going to be there. So I've promised her a guest host. She's nervous. I don't know why. It's like she doesn't trust me or something.
Well, you've been known to have a few things up your sleeve, being the cheeky bastard that you are.
Well, that's true, and she's not innocent either. Because when she goes on vacation, she sticks me with like CMC and
yeah, I know.
So if I was vindictive, I'd say she has payback coming.
Yeah, well.
But anyway, that's for other shows on the network. Bari, let's say we get out. You were tired, I can tell.
Yeah, definitely. I want to get a shower and grab something to eat and chill out.
All right. Well, I got a Cubs game to watch anyway. So thanks everybody for joining us here on Gold Rush. Until next time, for Bari, this is Reb reminding y'all life is hard, work stiff, and we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.